Murfreesboro and Rutherford County are so rich in their respective histories, with many women who've had integral roles in creating our community's sense of place. The Rutherford Arts Alliance is proud to partner with Murfreesboro City TV to showcase a number of these women as a part of our Leading Ladies of Rutherford County History project. From murals to our community-involved play, A Party of 12 by Mary Donay Johnson, we're proud to honor these diverse women of our past who inspire us as we give them a voice in today's world. Let's find out more about one of these leading ladies.
Emma Roberts was a legend in education. She was the first African-American principal in Murfreesboro City Schools and the first African-American educator to be elected to the Tennessee Teachers Hall of Fame. She was also a role model to so many that would follow in her footsteps.
I am so glad to have you here with us today here at Bradley Academy Museum, and I'm looking forward to you to tell me what you know about Miss Roberts. I've heard a lot of good things about her, and but I never have really worked under her leadership, but I know she has been here in Rutherford County. She's done a lot of good works. So I would just like to know from your point of view, what can you tell us about Miss Rogers?
She was such a personal influence in my life, and professionally just helped me to move forward. I actually met Ms. Roberts about 1973, and a principal that had interviewed me, Mr. Crowder, over at Mr. Nielsen Elementary School, told me that I simply must meet Ms. Emma Roberts. And I'd actually never really heard much about Ms. Roberts before. So at any rate, I was then in an interview with Mr. Baxter Hopgood, who was the superintendent of the Murfreesboro City Schools.
Okay.
And I talked with him. He sent me to talk with Ms. Roberts. Now, everybody knows that Ms. Roberts was principal of Bradley Elementary School.
Okay.
And when she left Bradley during integration, she went to Murfreesboro City Schools in an administrative role, another administrative role. She was civil rights coordinator and I think director of pupil services, something like that. And at any rate, he advised that I had to talk to her. So I had a nice conversation with her, did not know it was an interview, but later realized that it was indeed an interview. And Mr. Hopgood said that he was hiring me, but only at Ms. Roberts' approval. Wow. So that's how I got my first job back in about 1973.
Okay, when you said the Bradley, are you talking about, you're not talking about this Bradley, you're talking about the one?
Bradley Elementary.
Elementary, okay.
Yes. So we were at the Critchlow Cox buildings. They don't even exist anymore. It's where the health department is now. Right. But those buildings were city school administrative buildings, right. And that's where Ms. Roberts' office was. And so she became principal again, but just for these 4 kindergarten classrooms.
Okay.
And two of us kindergarten teachers who were hired worked together in Critchlow. The other 2 worked over in the Cox building. And we were waiting on new classrooms to be built, inaugural classrooms to be built in the Murfreesboro City School buildings.
Oh, okay.
So Ms. Roberts had a big say in where each of the 4 of us would go. And she put me with my colleague and over to Mitchell Nielsen Primary School. And I often wondered why she put me with Ms. Bertha Snowden, because it was our relationship was kind of interesting, and we became very, very good friends too. But it was really interesting. And then after I'd been there for about 5 years, I said, oh, okay, so Ms. Roberts was smarter than I am to put me over here with Ms. Snowden. So that's how I ended up over at that particular school.
Okay, so at that point, they did not have kindergarten on a regular basis in the school system. So you all really started the kindergarten
Yes.
Within the
Murfreesboro
regular
City
schools, the
yes.
school system?
Yes.
Oh,
there was
okay.
one kindergarten at Bradley Academy, or Bradley Elementary School, but that kindergarten was funded by some grant.
Oh,
and it was the
okay.
only one in the city schools. In fact, the county schools didn't have any at that point.
Okay.
And that was about 1973 for me. It was probably earlier, 70 or maybe even before that, when they had that grant kindergarten.
You're informing me some things that I didn't know
Yeah.
as far as education, as far as the kindergarten classes and her role that Miss Roberts played here in the school system. Wow.
Yeah, she was the kind of lady, and you've met Ms. Roberts.
Oh, yeah, I've met her.
She was concerned about all of our development, professional development, personal development, but she wasn't the kind that would butt in. She would just kind of give you advice, and you would be the person who would go to her, and she could kind of share with you without telling you what to do.
Oh,
That's
okay.
kind of how she operated with us. And but she was a grand lady. I think you probably remember that. I mean, she was very articulate, very just very concerned about how she appeared before people, how she presented herself, and she wanted us all to be like that. And so some of that rubbed off on us. She had very high standards too, and she expected certain things of her friends. And even people who weren't her friends, she had certain high expectations for them as well. And I don't know if you'd ever experienced any of that with her.
No,
Yeah.
like I said, I really, I've met her a few times, but never under that type of situation
Yeah.
where I would, know her to that extent.
Yeah.
But I'm sure with that being said, that made you all respect her as who she was. And like you said, it was an influence on you. So you were able to carry on those same aspects as you moved up in your career.
That's exactly right, and that's how I was able to move. I think in many instances, she was not the kind of person who would accept excuses for any kind of behavior or responses. You were responsible, and so you had to make amends for whatever that was. But I mean, we loved her because we knew she cared about us.
Yeah, and it reflected not only you, but the students too.
That's right.
Made the environment where it was conducive to learning.
That's right.
And for the students to have respect for you and you to have respect for them, as well as respecting her for knowing how she was.
Right, and it went so far as for me and Ms. Roberts, she really became part of our family. And she really became one of our children's grandmothers.
Oh,
and it went so
okay.
deep as she was always concerned about where our children were going to school. And this was in public school, but more in college.
Oh,
So we had to convince her that it was okay for Rob to go away to Tennessee Tech because it was the best school in Tennessee for engineers.
Oh, okay.
Now, she never really accepted the fact that Tara went to MTSU instead of New York University.
Oh.
Because she was an alumnus. That was one of her schools, was
okay.
NYU, and so she never forgave us for that. So she did have high standards in certain other ways as well for our family, not only for professionals as professionals. She was, I would describe her as patient and giving and kind, but she commanded respect. She didn't have to say anything. She could just walk in a room and she just commanded respect. I remember her having lots of visitors who were former students of hers, former colleagues who'd moved away. They would come back to visit her when she'd retired. And she was just a glory to be around.
Well,
Learned so much, and she was, she was just that kind of person. She supported me throughout my career, and we worked together all through my promotion. She was very excited when I became dean, and she would share all kinds of activities with me. We would go for recognitions and honors, and we would both share each other's sort of adventures and activities and that sort of thing.
So she didn't hold it against you when you went to Tech and started teaching?
No. No, she got over that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She formed the relationships she established as a professional, as a person, just grew so deep. The roots were just so deep. And some of her major alliances, though, went back to her garden club, and I can't remember the name of it, but her garden club,
Yeah.
The alliance with her church, where she was an usher at one time even, but even more so with her family.
Yeah.
And her family, she's from Houston, Texas.
Oh, okay.
And so, you know, they would always come to visit, and she would go visit them.
Yeah, and that you were talking about that club. I have a book that was given to me to the African American Heritage Society. I don't know if I have it with me today, but I was looking at it last night, and she's in the clubs. They have it's talking about the different clubs in Rutherford County, and she's in there.
Well, it was very important to her.
Oh, okay.
So I just to end is, Ms. Roberts was my boss, but even more than that, she became my forever best friend.
Oh,
One of
well,
my forever
great.
best friends.
That's great. Yeah.
And I just appreciate being able to share just a few things about her.
And I appreciate you doing this because, like I said, I've heard a lot about her, but I just really did not know her. And I talked to some of her family members, and I think they live in Texas.
They do.
And they thought a lot of their aunt as well. And you know, I think I don't think she had any children of her own.
That's right.
So the children that she worked with and the ones that she mentored became her children and everything.
That's
so,
it. And grandchildren.
Grandchildren.
And now great-grandchildren.
Yeah. So, well, I appreciate you sharing this with us. And the pictures you have here, of course, that's her there. And I think that's her speaking. Was this at her retirement?
That was at an award that I had received at MTSU.
Oh,
and she was
okay.
there. Like I said, she became part of our family.
Okay.
So that's where that had taken place.
And I see, is the same up at the top with your
Yes.
family with her? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Very good. I feel like I know her personally now, you
Good.
know.
For more information about our project, Leading Ladies of Rutherford County History, visit our website, leadingladiesrutherford.com. Or if you have a story of someone from the past who inspired you, you can share it on our website. For more information about the Rutherford Arts Alliance and what we're doing to promote arts, culture, and heritage, visit rutherfordartsalliance.org. And thank you for watching.